everybody, and welcome to our favorites. Ooh, like spicy. Where we like to talk about, if you're new, we like to talk about a director, a genre, an actor, just anything. We like to talk about our favorite movies in that collection. And today is going to be a very good day. I know a lot of movie franchises are very popular, but this might be the most popular one. It's certainly one of my favorite movies of all time.
I don't know, man. People hate this franchise.
I mean, it's...
Like, they hate it, like, legitimately.
Yeah, no, it's... the fandom's gone through a lot, but...
There was the racist, sexist puppet.
Yeah, but you know what we're going to do today? We're going to bring the entire fandom together. Are you ready for this?
Caillou.
We're talking about Star Wars.
That was next.
And all you crazy fanboys, fangirls, fandoms, leave all that aside. We're just going to have a fun discussion on our favorite Star Wars movies. And starting it off today.
So, Dickey picks Solo.
It's Solo, Rogue One. No, sorry. And then Phantom Menace. Those are our favorite Star Wars. No, don't. I can see the angry comments.
Before you write anything, that was called an attempt at a joke. And just like the prequels, he failed to execute correctly.
For real though, Maul has become one of the best characters in Star Wars.
Yep.
Thanks to the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Clone Wars, not the
He was still cool.
Isn't he in Rebels
Menace.
too?
What?
At some point?
In what?
Rebels?
Yes.
Yeah, he pop up there too. Yeah, remember the big fight between... I'm not going to...
I haven't gotten there yet. I just know.
Shouldn't say anything.
Okay. All right. I'll shut up. I'm going to
keep your trap shut.
Unless I'm talking about my favorite Star Wars movie.
Which is?
Episode 5. It is the... Oh, do we actually say the title?
I thought you forgot it for a second.
Oh.
You tend to forget stuff that you like.
Yeah, who's the main character? His name in this movie?
I think it's Chewbacca.
Lobot.
That's pretty close.
No, it's Lobot.
No, I know this is everybody's favorite pick to choose. It is the cliche answer of the best Star Wars movie, but...
I mean, cliches are cliches for a reason.
He's basic.
But, like, he's basic, yeah, but it's the best one.
For a reason, because it is absolutely... I go through phases, like, where I forget how much I love Star Wars, and then I watch this movie, and I'm like, yeah... This is why I love it.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
It probably is.
That makes it basic.
It absolutely is. I'm not shying away. I'm well aware this is a very basic pick. But there's just something about...
Where was that awareness in the past?
There's awareness?
Hey.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Where was that awareness when we talked about Flubber?
I came around to it eventually. But no, I like legit. I know there's pieces where you can pick apart some of the dated dialogue, the dated acting, which I love Carrie Fisher, I love Mark Hamill, I love
the most popular one.
Holy Toledo, that escaped my mind.
Probably
for a second.
The most famous one, at least as far as career beyond Star Wars.
Probably. Although Mark Hamill's pretty close up there. But
no, more of a voice actor, though.
More voice actor.
Harrison Ford is much bigger than the other two.
That's fair.
They're in the biggest franchise of all time. Everyone knows who they are.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, though, went a tier or two above them.
Yeah.
I mean, did you hear Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher say to Gary Oldman, "Get off my plane"?
That's a good point.
That's the thing. If they ever reached his tier level, he'd push them off, but not before saying, "Get off my plane." What movie is that from?
That's Air.
No.
Oh, you're close. No. What is it, Jake?
It's Air Force One.
Yep.
That's what I was gonna say. You talking me down.
You're like, no.
I think that's wow.
It's an okay movie. Rest in peace, Wolfgang Peterson. When we recorded this, he has just passed away. Oh. I believe he directed that.
Oh.
But yes, that's the movie's fine, but that's the best.
Do you know what I would love to see? Harrison Ford and Samuel L. Jackson on a plane.
That would be amazing. But it would be even cooler to see them in a TIE fighter. Anyway, we're talking about Star Wars. And
that was a very bad segue.
I should have said that Millennium Falcon.
You should have said I would really love to see Mace Windu come back from the dead. That would have been and such a better segue. Be somehow in your pick. But you just passed right over that. You went for it. Oh, they should be in a TIE fighter.
Yeah, no, that was bad. Anyway,
Empire.
I'm trying to think of where to even start because just like it's such a big movie.
It's not even really a movie that you need to talk about, is it? Like everybody knows it. It's so
you can't really like every single YouTube channel, every single podcast out there is an analysis on why it works so well, and it's just like they're all right. Like everything about how they split up the characters and they each both had their separate storylines and they connected and it all just works so. And I'm not gonna lie, one of the best things to come from this movie is, I'm ready for this? I'm about to talk about everything around the movie other than the actual movie itself.
So
the bad lip reading song. You know what I'm talking about. Seagulls. Yes.
All the prestige, all the history,
so I just want to say,
talk about the bad lip reading song.
I just want to say before Dickey continues, because this is honestly a good pick of his, and I'll let him talk. When he says that all of the YouTubers and all of the podcasters are not wrong, that is not a challenge.
No, like I said, I know this is the most popular movie, and that's kind of where it's like getting hard for me to like I'm trying to bring my a different perspective on it, but it's hard because
because you never really have a perspective on anything.
Do? Wow.
Sorry, the wrong perspective.
Wow. Okay.
Where are you going with this? You built this whole conversation around bad lip reading.
Well, because that's one of the things that makes me happy. Like when I think about this, I think about that.
Once again, Dickey likes a movie for the memes more than the actual movie.
No, I will legit will turn this on whenever I just feel I just.
So it's
the
movie or the movie.
The movie.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good comfort movie.
It absolutely is.
It has the same sort of healing property that The Price is Right does.
It's also really funny.
It is very funny,
especially when Han gets tortured, and you just hear from the other room. Here, I'm going to push my mic away. Just. I remember being a kid, and I loved these movies as a kid, and I love them now. That always made me laugh.
It's pretty great.
And I think it's because he's in another room. If he was yelling like that, if you're in the room with him, it's not that funny unless it looks funny while he's doing it. But just coming from down the hall just killed me as a kid. Maybe I was a sadistic kid, but
maybe just a little.
Also, the thing that they're torturing with, it just looked like it was a little pokey, shocky thing. It's like, what is
it? Kind of was a pokey, shocky thing. Kind of.
Yeah, it was just funny. Oh my god,
it's so good. And oh my god, one of my literally just everything. I'm gonna go back to Dagobah because I think that's just one of the coolest scenes ever. I just love just how
mine.
Which that makes me want to say something that I don't want to spoil what Jake's pick was, but the fact that Yoda, a very wise Jedi, aged into a whiny old crazy man. Just I like how Jedi age like that. It makes sense after living in such a tight order that we were able to see from the prequels that they would just kind of, I don't know, just chill out after being so stressed out about all that stuff.
It's funny that you say that because you say we see the tight order in the prequels. We don't. Okay, we don't see it in the prequels. We see it in the Clone Wars.
Whenever I say we see it in the prequels,
you can't do that though, because you really don't, because it's making that movie something that it's not.
Which
what?
The prequels have good bones.
That's why the Clone Wars is able to make them better. I will.
So do I. I'll agree with that. My bones though have a lot of fat around them.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm blabbing over here because I don't have a good.
I know. You failed to bring up one of the more interesting parts. Is just that sequels in Hollywood didn't do that well. back in the day. People did not really like sequels. That doesn't mean this is the first good sequel. It's not.
Yeah.
There's plenty before it this is 1980 when it came out. There's probably 50 years of sequels coming out where at least a portion of them are good, but the norm was, at least for big Hollywood stuff, sequels usually aren't that good.
That is true, which I think it helps when you have just
a risk.
Such a creative mastermind behind it. And I know everyone loves to dog on George Lucas now because he made those prequels, but without his roadmap for 4, 5, and 6, these would have been trash. And so you really have to owe a lot, and I know it's popular, but again, you have to owe a lot of credit to George Lucas. And obviously Lawrence Kasdan and I'm blanking on who the
Kathleen
Kennedy was helped out in this too.
Geffen? Was Geffen on there? No. Who am I thinking of?
It's like there's another.
Look that up. I should probably not just sit back.
Yeah, just because I feel like there's a lot of names that nobody likes to really give praise to anymore. Where I feel like they actually deserve the credit for making movies like this. Like everybody swings and misses sometimes, but their hit was Empire Strikes Back, so they know what they're doing.
I mean, all 3 of the Star Wars. Can you similar to Toy Story? There we go. Similar to Toy Story, can you imagine a world where Star Wars didn't exist?
No.
Like, can you imagine what our culture would be if that was just never made?
That's why it's like so hard.
Or if it didn't succeed the way it did, which Star Wars coming out in any other era would not have succeeded at all.
No, it was
not even from like a technological perspective, just from like it hit the culture at
the perfect time.
Right at the time it needed to.
That was right when things were like transitioning from like your 70s like more like auteur like type movies to like the 80s more bigger blockbusters.
Man, and I miss that 70s era. I wish I was alive for that.
Yeah, that would have been insane.
New Hollywood.
Look, we're not gonna Midnight in Paris this.
But it would have been crazy to see some of those in big screen. But like just this coming out like in 1980, it just smacked every kid at that age across the face that says you're gonna love this, and that's just what and then they show their kids, and then we're gonna show our kids, and then their kids are gonna show their kids, and it's just gonna keep going on and on.
There will still be Star Wars movies when we have kids and they have kids, and
there absolutely will be, and there should be. And
there will probably be Star Wars movies past when there is an Earth to have Star Wars movies on.
And I know the majority of the ones that are going to come out are probably going to be hit and miss, but it's harder to deny that these first 3 movies, especially the middle one, my favorite, Empire Strikes Back, is the one that really
they're literally
kicked it off.
They are masterpieces again in how they hit the culture, not necessarily how they are constructed.
Which they are in that like they took very core
they are definitely
classic mythological like your classic like hero's journey and whatever or not. Like they took those
they are definitely masterpieces in their use of miniatures.
Oh my god.
Remember
They are. Sorry, the effects, like literally.
Yes, I agree with you. I just did not like that reaction.
Lucasfilm spawned from these movies.
So I have something to say during your segment,
which actually really quick,
that has more related to do with what you're going to talk about.
Slightly went over time, so let's move on to Jared's pick. Jared,
why? I wanted to keep talking about yours.
Okay, I mean, as long as you're okay with going a little bit longer.
I mean, ours are tied together.
They are.
So you can keep going.
Okay.
All 3. Well,
what were you going to say, Jake?
I want to wait until you...
Okay. I just wanted to add, it's really funny how George Lucas started out as this guy who wanted to make just these weird artistic movies.
Oh, yeah.
And he made one. And no one saw it, and he was upset. I've seen it. THX 1138.
Yeah. I've never seen that. Where'd you find it? Really curious.
I bought it.
I wanted to use that from you because I want to see it too.
If I'll ever get that back.
Still haven't gotten Belfast back.
I'll give it back to you. Anyway.
It's not a fun movie. It's not that type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
And when no one saw it, he was pretty pissed. So he made the most commercial movie he could think of, drawing everything off of nostalgia, and that's American Graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
I love American Graffiti.
It's fantastic.
And it's so funny how he did it kind of out of spite. Like, he wanted to do it, and his wife edited it, and like all the stuff. But he basically was making the most commercial thing you could think of at the time, saying, hey, remember the early 60s before the decade exploded?
Mm-hmm.
just
isn't Harrison Ford in American Graffiti?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
He was. What do I remember his face in there?
Yeah, he's the one that he challenges one of the main characters to that race at the end. He's like, "Hey, pal, they say your car's fast in the valley, but that can't be your car. That's got to be your mama's car. I'm just embarrassed to be this close to it."
Huh. Gotta rewatch it.
How did I remember?
I don't know.
I watched this like a year or two ago for the second time, but it's just funny how he did it out of spite, and it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then, what does he do? He writes this big, it's basically the Hidden Fortress.
It is.
I've not seen the Hidden Fortress. Just everyone who watches it tells me is basically what Star Wars is. But he makes something that's also super, super pulpy and commercial and success. And he's never the Lucas the filmmaker again.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. I mean, he didn't even direct Empire.
No, which I think
Jedi. He directed A New Hope and then the 3 prequels.
Which, again, I think that was just for the best. I think what George Lucas is really, really good at is coming up with ideas.
He's the idealist, yes.
Yes. And I think when you put his ideas in the hands of Lawrence Kasdan, who is a fantastic writer, that's when you get something like Empire Strikes. It's so perfectly builds off of everything in A New Hope and then just adds like 5 other layers on top of it. Like, I can't even just begin to just grasp with just how well that works. Like, I just love it. I truly, truly love it so much.
And that feeds in.
Yes. There we go. Good segue. And that feeds into Jake's.
I'm not going next. No, mine's not connected.
My brain kind of went, that feeds into Jared's pick, which is
Return of the Jedi, formerly titled Revenge of the Jedi.
Good pick.
Yeah.
It's one of those that...
Yeah, actually, that was a Revenge would have been a bad.
There are a lot of people I know that it's their favorite. It's also not anywhere near as popular as A New Hope and Empire. It's not. It is the weakest of the trilogy. I really do think so. It's a lot of go, go, go. We need to wrap this up. But what I think makes it special in that regard is whenever we do slow down, it's a good scene.
Mm-hmm.
Could the pacing be a little better in that regard? Yes.
Where would you say the pacing fails?
Not as much fails, more as we are constantly moving to the point where we're not having the character moments that made the first 2 as good. Okay. It's hard to pinpoint because the movie's almost 40 years old. So it's like, it's hard to change this.
They do have to rush after revealing that Vader is his father in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just that it becomes like we have set so much up, we have to tie everything up. And again, I'm not complaining about it. I just know, this is this really quick. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why I loved it as a kid. And I rewatched it a couple years ago on May the 4th when it was re-released in theaters.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool to see.
I think it was re-released.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Star Wars movie in theaters.
But I remember most of the movie, I'm having a good time, but I'm not loving it like I did as a kid, which is normal for something.
Sure.
And then as the battle at the end, which was always my favorite part as a kid, of course.
So good.
I'm like, okay. And then it got to that point with the Vader-Luke lightsaber duel, which I'm like, this is good. It's the moment when he lures him out of the dark by saying, if you won't, she will.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that panning shot behind the guardrails and the thing that's falling down when they're fighting and the score kicks in. I got goosebumps. I was like, and that's right before he cuts Vader's hand off. Remember, the series is a thing with things getting cut off.
Really, very, very, very quick side note. When we worked at that place that we worked at before, did we ever watch? Because I don't think I've ever seen any of the Star Wars movies on big screen.
Oh yeah, we did. You weren't there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you were a weenie.
Because I'm like, I feel like this is a place that we would have done this. But
I think it was on May the 4th.
Was it May the 4th?
Yeah, we stayed after. I think it was like a Saturday or something. We stayed after and watched Return of the Jedi.
Because I legit. So this is 22. There's not going to be any more big releases or any big years when they're going to re-release.
Yes, next year.
23?
Yeah, because it came out in 83.
Oh, you're right. Well, I can't do math. You knew that. But
it's the 40th anniversary next
hopefully
year,
they'll
right?
re-release it again in theaters.
And then the 50th anniversary. Well, hold on. They'll probably do 40th, 45th. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
50th.
Oh, yeah.
55th. 60th.
Because guess what? They like money.
But 65th, I don't know that the world will be alive by then.
Yeah, we'll see. But one thing I do want to add about Jedi is I think another reason that it was polarizing is at the time Ewoks.
They don't blink. They don't. I don't care what that special editions do. They don't blink. It's weird. I don't like it.
On the topic of the special editions, this is what I was going to say before. I am of the age to where I have
probably actually
I have watched the original trilogy in their original format.
Same.
I watched the special edition in the gold and black that had certain changes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it took me a long time to get used to those changes, but it did have a lot of cool like behind the scenes before the tape where they had them like the miniature things and showed them actually like blowing up the miniatures and all that stuff. Like it's really fascinating how they made the thing like this trilogy, to be honest. And like I was okay with the changes.
Are you going to talk about the one?
Yes, I probably am talking about that one. So I buy the Blu-rays like 8 years ago or so. I get to the Return of the Jedi, and they get to the end.
Oh, you're talking about that one.
And all the Force Ghosts show up, and I go, "There's Hayden. Why is he there? You son of a bitch!"
Oh, because that's when he was last really good. That's what the theories are.
I don't understand what the need to change a movie like that. Like like I can understand one like a remaster sort of situation, but over and over and over again unless it's got something to do with copyright.
I don't think so. So Jake, this is where I think of it, and I know that you can relate to this as somebody that makes short movies and stuff like that. You always want to keep like tinkering with it and make it as good as you can. And I can see how you keep wanting
30 years later.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Not when it's a film that has had such an impact on culture.
Yeah, I mean,
when you create an icon, you don't get to just change the icon.
I mean, the creator himself thinks. I disagree with him, but he thinks if he puts these in, it will make it better. And I can see that thought process.
He's just sitting in his chair going, the thing about Star Wars is just you got to keep tinkering with it because of Star Wars. It's still my films, and this is the version of the film I really wanted to be out there.
Yeah,
and all we gotta do is make your hair gray and give you some glasses.
That's how he talks. He's so soft.
He's a little higher pitched too, but yeah.
So here's the question. Anyway, here's my question,
what I was going back to.
And I don't know the answer to this, and maybe either of you do. Did they have to get like Hayden Christensen to come back to refilm some stuff for that, or did they like just use some random?
They probably just use some random. I was saying they still probably to pay him.
You realize they put it in.
Well, yeah, I mean it's his image, so
they put it in after they would have filmed some of the stuff for the prequels. So right?
It would have had to have been, yeah, because it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that in the Gold and Black case.
Because think about it, in the prequels, all the footage was in front of green screens, so it's so easy, just like. Plop, just put it in there. Like, I can't imagine it was.
It's not even just a plump. It's a.
Exactly. But
EIOU.
Old McDonald.
Inside joke. But on top of you mentioning the special editions about episode 6, the one that pains me to my core, that I will watch the old ones just because I don't want to hear the singing. You know, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
With the fuzzy chicken nugget guy. It's a yo, and you have the saliva spitting out.
Oh yeah,
God!
I've never understood
so
it.
Annoying.
And it's funny enough because I think
they release it in like 3D. Is that why they did that shot?
I guess.
Did they really?
Is that what that is? Is that what that's about?
That seems like some mid to late 2000s bull crap that they would do. Back when 3D was really cool, when Avatar came out.
They still release things in 3D, though.
Not as much.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I know they do, but I feel like it's not as big as 3D was.
It's not the gimmick that it used to be.
No.
Because I know Avatar came out and was like, 3D is so cool. Let's see everything in 3D.
That's a bad movie. Can we talk about something else?
Okay. Back to episode
3D's
9.
also been around a long time.
Or episode 6. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah.
Long time.
Old school, like
is
blue
the
and
new
red
thing
3D.
like 4D?
Yeah.
I wonder when
you get crap thrown at you and you get shook around. Like,
bro, can you imagine going to see Top Gun Maverick in 4D and not not knowing what to expect?
There would probably be some people, if they didn't, well, there has to be a disclaimer because you'd get motion sick. Like, you would absolutely get motion sickness if you didn't know what you were getting into. Just saying.
Wow.
What?
Apparently, the first 3D movie, according to Wikipedia, was 1922.
Wow, really?
The earliest confirmed 3D film shown to an out-of-house audience. That's what it says. I don't know the history of 3D, but it's been around a while. I think the 50s, 60s is when it became the red and blue bigger thing. I think. I'm not an expert on that stuff.
That's interesting.
3D makes me sick.
Oh.
Me too.
I was just gonna say that scene in Return of the Jedi. The change doesn't bug me as much as you. I don't know why. I'm just like
that's singing.
Yeah, whatever. Because it's funny. I think the original thing they shot, they used puppets, and John Williams and his son, who's in the band Toto, composed a piece of music for it, and then for the special editions. They wrote, I don't know if it was John Williams, I don't know, I didn't research this part. They were a whole new thing and then used CG to put the singers in there. It's like, why did we change that?
That's what I would just love to know. Like I said before, I get wanting to tinker with yourself and make it better, but how does that make it better? I just don't know. But don't forget, episode 6 also gave us my favorite version of Luke.
Same.
Yeah. He is just He knows what's up. Like, homie,
it's cool, Luke.
A
New Hope is whiny, Luke.
Oh, he's so
Empire
whiny.
is
angsty.
Gets his butt kicked, Luke. And then Return of the Jedi is
badass, Luke.
Yeah,
he's coming for him.
What's the gap? Is it a year?
That sounds about right.
Is it really that much?
Well, because they have to I'm trying to remember if they mentioned how long Han was in Jabba's palace. Because.
How long Han carbonate?
How long would Luke let that go? Like, how his friend was captured by Jabba.
How long did it take him to know it, though?
From the events of The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke duels Vader, discovers the truth, and Han Solo is taken away in carbonite, to Return of the Jedi, where Luke returns to rescue Han, is 1 year.
It is just 1 year.
Wow.
Huh.
Yep, so it's a whole year. Because I think...
Which makes sense, because...
Empire, from New Hope to Empire is just... It's like months, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty
because they had to
short.
set up that whole new base.
Yeah.
So, and then it's a year gap.
That makes sense because he has to, throughout Empire, you see him learning and losing and learning and losing. So in that year gap is where Luke becomes the Luke we love. And I'm not going to lie, I know we don't need to see it. I know it's one of those things that's probably better left up to our imagination. But are you going to tell me that if they gave us a young Luke Skywalker series casted with Sebastian Stan between episodes 5 and 6 of him learning to be awesome, I would be so cool.
Why Sebastian Stan?
Have you seen pictures?
He looks like him.
Yeah, he looks just like him. And again, I legit think that, and again, I know because Obi-Wan gave us something that we all thought we wanted, and it was
bad.
I don't want to say bad, but
it was uneven.
It let me down. But I realized the
undeserving,
series,
kind of boring, pedestrian, typical.
Hey, that spice bread was good looking though.
It was a pretty good looking spice bread. But I was gonna say, and I realized the series that I'm proposing could be just as bad as Obi-Wan, but it would be cool.
I mean, it was made by Disney, probably 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Probably have its big reveal in its 5th episode, and then a 6th episode that's just why even have a 6th episode?
Well,
or we could just have more Luke and the Mandalorian.
Yes.
We probably will, but...
probably, yeah. Well, especially after how good... I'm not going to lie. I've legit thought... Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Boba Fett yet. I legit think when Luke popped up in Boba Fett, he looked fantastic. I legit was shocked by how good I thought that aging looked. But that's just...
How long would they have made Boba Fett after Mandalorian 2? Like a year?
It was like a year.
Year and a half?
Year and a half.
It's hard to believe the technology would progress that much.
I know. It's insane, honestly. But anyway, let's move on to a very spicy, fantastic pick that Jake is bringing us.
That's
true. You could have picked episode 4.
No.
You could have picked any of the prequels.
No.
So what did you pick?
I picked The Last Jedi. That's
yeah,
right,
baby.
I picked The Last Jedi.
Trigger warning for anybody who doesn't like The Last Jedi, because we're going there.
Listen, Rian Johnson is one of my favorite directors. He has directed some of my favorite movies.
Like The Brothers Bloom. That's your favorite?
No.
Have you seen it?
No, but I have it.
He made Brick.
That's the only one you
have you seen. Did you see Brick?
Yes.
Yeah. So good.
He's seen all the other Rian Johnsons. Yeah, I
have two, actually.
He hasn't seen.
That's the one I haven't seen either.
I haven't seen either.
Oh, there we go.
So, I mean, you got your loopers. Like, this guy is...
Knives Out!
He directed the best episode of Breaking Bad.
He did.
Like, this man is a competent director and a competent storyteller. He was saddled.
So what happened here?
He was saddled with the weight of a franchise that cannot stand to be different.
Yep.
And that didn't have any direction. Don't forget that as well.
I don't know I haven't read any of the behind the scenes stuff, so I don't know.
From everything that I've heard, Kathleen Kennedy is a phenomenal producer. She's made some of the best movies ever. She didn't have a game plan, kind of like you look at the MCU or something like that, or like even the prequels or the original 3. She didn't have a plan from 7 to 8 to 9. She let each filmmaker make the best movie that they could, which is what she knows how to do. But when there's no connective tissue, that's the
It doesn't make for a good trilogy. Maybe it makes for 2 good movies and one laser fest.
Nobody picked episode 9 for reasons.
But anyways, Rian Johnson had the impossible position of making a new Star Wars movie that didn't have to rely solely on nostalgia to get it off the ground. And he had to push it in a new direction. And he did that, and people crapped on him for it. And I just don't understand that, because it's so different, with the exception of the casino scene. That's obviously the big fault in it.
I think we all can agree that while this is while this is a fantastic movie, it's not perfect.
No, but I don't expect any movie to really be perfect.
Exactly. It's allowed
except
to have
for Scott Pilgrim, but
that's or RV.
Like, Jake, the only other thing that I would add on top of the casino scene, the two issues I had with it was A, the casinos, and B, what they did with Poe. I mean
that
it's
I would not say that has a giant bearing on the story. That's just a failure of them writing his character.
Correct.
Like, they built him to be someone, and then they turned him into a whiny little jerkwad.
Exactly. I love the movie, but I think everything with Poe could be solved with 2 characters talking.
Well, I also think that, like so many people have said in the past, like, she doesn't have to tell you crap. What are you talking about?
Right.
The only kind of leg he has to stand on that is that they're literally floating in space with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
floating back towards the ship.
I know people pick on that, but I don't care.
I forgot that happens.
It doesn't bother me. Like, we know Leia is force sensitive. We know that.
But listen, Jake,
it was just funny.
You brought that up, and let me be a Star Wars fan, a toxic Star Wars fanboy for like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. When did you?
Throughout all the Star Wars, yeesh. Throughout all of the movies, the books, and like I said, I'm a big nerd. I read the books. I read some.
I've read the books too.
I feel like throughout all of the properties, it is basically said that Vader is the strongest. It's pretty much the strongest Force user that has ever existed. And,
I would agree.
Yes, and I don't remember which book it was, but they showed him flying through space because he is the strongest Force user.
Yep.
I feel like when they show Leia doing that,
that's predicated on something that not a lot of people have read,
which is absolutely true. Which is absolutely. That's not true. But
you just said, but when Leia does it,
it's just because of the history.
Now you're a Star Wars fan.
I'm well aware that this is me complaining about small details that don't matter.
It's not really a small. that's not even a small detail. That's something that only like 2% of the Star Wars fandom would even know about.
Exactly.
Besides that, like,
which is why I think it's stupid.
She didn't really like fly through space. She went like 10 feet.
She pulled herself back in.
Yeah.
I just remember
that's not flying through space.
I know, it rubbed me the wrong way, but that's they're like, okay, now there are 3 things. There are only 3 things in this movie that bothered me, and those are the 3.
I just remember the theater reaction. You were there.
Oh, I was.
We know something's going to happen to her because Carrie Fisher had died. And then
had Carrie Fisher died as this movie came out?
Before the movie came out.
Before the movie came out. Yeah. Okay.
And the bridge gets blasted and she gets just sucked out, and I don't want to say I wanted her killed off like that. But if that would have happened, that would have been one of those subversion things that the movie is like, oh my gosh. And then she opens her eyes and we're all like, oh, and then she starts floating and we're all dying laughing. Oh, it was funny. I just think it's funny.
Yeah,
it's like Legolas running up the rubble in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Exactly what it's like. That's exactly what it's like.
He's a video game character. This isn't real. Yeah. This is a video game character.
But again, like that's what I really appreciate about this movie is that it subverts my expectations for what a Star Wars movie is. Like even watching it, like everything is so like tightly framed on everything. Like it's framed so different. It just feels so different. It's such a breath of fresh, like it's just fresh. It
is, which and I know a lot of people, and I know they didn't do a lot with the Kylo and why am I blanking? Daisy Ridley's character? Ray. Thank you. Good God. I know that was
Raylo. Thank you.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is like
I would have been very upset.
This kind of established Raylo, but not really.
And okay, that throne room fight is one of the best fight scenes in Star Wars. Period. I don't care that we didn't get to know who Snoke was, which is one of the things.
I like
that. And that's another one of like they give you these things that you were expecting. They're like, no, we're just gonna shut that down. Like, who's Rey's lineage? No one.
It should have been no one.
It shows us that anyone can be a Skywalker, which is what people were so pissed off about at the end of the third one. Like,
and that's the whole point of the because I know a lot of people were confused, and I know we keep saying a lot of people, but like I heard like a lot they were confused about like why is the broom boy important? Like what's the
broom?
The kid with the broom. Remember at the very end looking out at the stars?
It's just showing that anyone can be a Force user.
Exactly.
Like it didn't. I know it. You said it bothered you.
It's kind of dumb
that anyone can be a Force user.
Just the way it happens. It's like, why are we tagging this on at the end? It doesn't. Then the next movie doesn't do anything with it, of course. Because
that's not the Last Jedi's fault, though.
They didn't have to put it in there.
But they didn't know what they were going to do for the third movie.
I just don't know why it needs to be there.
I think
to show that anyone can be a Force user.
Yeah.
Like the Force doesn't die; it just transfers.
I legit think that if you forget about episode 7 and episode 9,
so
you just watch this, I think that ending makes sense.
So, where does it end before that? I don't even know. I don't even remember.
What happens right before that scene?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. That's a really good question.
It's Rey lifting all the funny rocks.
But so how would you convey that if that wasn't there? How would you convey the idea that anyone, you don't have to be special to be a Force user. It just exists within you.
I don't know if it has to be in the movie. I haven't seen it since it came out. I just remember it showing.
But that's the whole point of the movie. That's the whole point of Rey being nobody.
I was getting it, yeah.
Which I don't think we need that then, because I think we got that in the moment where he says that to her.
I don't think
which ends up being a lie anyway. It's still annoys me.
Again, that's not the fault of The Last Jedi though.
I know.
That's them trying to undo because everyone was belly aching about about something new happening in Star Wars. Which
again, I still think and I it's hard to talk about the middle movie of a trilogy and not like have the other movies. It is
when the trilogy is so separated.
Yeah.
Empire, it's hard to not talk about the other two because they're connected. They have a single story. Right. This one, it's easy because they're 3 separate movies. They don't really form a trilogy.
And the reason that this feels disjointed is just because of the trilogy. That's why I was just saying, like, I legit, in your minds, for anybody else that's watching, listening to us, forget episode 7 exists. Forget episode 9 exists. If you just watch episode 8, I think it would be a lot more liked. Because it's not.
I don't know why in the world J.J. Abrams bailed on episode 8. I never.
He was probably just. I'm guessing just something else came up.
But like, it's so much money, man. Why would you walk away from that?
I don't know.
And at
Maybe
that point,
he was making like a passion project.
And at that point, did you really want to tell a Star Wars story, or did you just want the moniker of I made a Star Wars movie?
I mean, shoot. Can we call up J.J. Abrams' agent and get him on the show so we can ask him?
Maybe.
I'm just very curious because like
I just don't like how much hate The Last Jedi got. I don't think it deserves the hate. It's not the movie's fault that it didn't meet your expectations. It's not the movie's fault that it fell prey to a kind of what sounds like maybe not a toxic production team.
I would say toxic is the wrong word, but just disjointed.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not its fault. It's not its fault that it had an impossible.
It really did have an impossible task.
The more I think, I used to think that The Force Awakens had the biggest impossible task, but now that I think about it, it's kind of on The Last Jedi.
Listen, that's a very interesting question because like The Force Awakens has to bring back Star Wars, but also. I mean, hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, but The Force Awakens doesn't really push it in a new direction at all.
No, but hindsight's always 20/20. Like, how do you bring back Star Wars into the mainstream? They could have gone so many different ways with that, and I feel like a lot of them would have failed if they didn't just make the 4th movie again. And so I know it's easy to say now. Oh, it's easy to make episode 7, just make it again. But like, there could have been so many new ideas. And episode 8, I think, also has a very hard task because you can't just do Empire again. Like people would be so upset.
It also has one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. In fact, very nearly my favorite scene in all of Star Wars. And in recent months, I've heard people. And in recent months, I've heard people like complain about this. Like I'm talking about the space jump through the Star Destroyer. It is one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. Like it literally. So they were complaining about it in that there is something in the canon, like in Clone Wars or in Rebels or something, where they're talking about the coordinates of hyperspace jumps being unpredictable. And they say, see how the Last Jedi did this, and you wouldn't be able to do this because you would not be able to predict, or you would become light or something like that. And I'm like, you're still kind of a physical ship.
But you can also poke holes through any movie when you keep breaking it down and you keep thinking about stuff like that.
Well, and that's the Star Wars fan base for you.
It is. It absolutely is. This new trilogy was a mess.
It really was, but it did give us at least 2 of the better-ish, one of the greatest Star Wars films and one of the better-ish ones.
It really, it really did. I know a lot of people don't like what they did with Luke, but I
think it makes sense.
It like I just mentioned in this episode, Yoda went batshit because he was hanging out in Dagobah doing nothing. And Luke did the same thing. He was hanging out on his own island.
Luke wasn't even batshit. He was just like, none of this makes sense to do this.
I know.
I can't even protect my own nephew. No, why does any of this make sense? It doesn't help anyone. It just destroys.
Like it seems
like it makes sense.
Like you know how like have you seen Everything Everywhere?
Yeah.
Like like how like I feel like that's like it's a popular thing. It's more of like a Gen Z like why does anything matter? With like everything. I think they kind of took that approach with Mark Hamill and Luke in episode 8. He realizing like all the crap that the Jedi have done. Why does it matter? And I think that's just a newer way of like a younger way of looking at things. I mean, it's not necessarily.
Well, yeah,
I know.
And then The Last Jedi
has been around for a while.
Tries to push it forward with the burning of the tree that has all of the poems in it.
Such a great way to do that.
Doesn't one of them survive?
Oh, Ray took them all.
All of them?
There are a bunch of them in like a drawer on the ship.
Okay. I thought it was just one, but
I almost wait. Was that in episode 9 that happened, or was that in 8?
That was at the end of 8. That's right before she meets up with Poe. To which I always say, this is not a good trilogy when 2 of our 3 new main characters haven't even met each other till the end of the second movie.
You're totally true.
We're 5 hours into this new trilogy and they just meet.
And again, I don't think that comes down to Rian Johnson making a movie. I think that comes down to, and I know I just said that Kathleen Kennedy is one of the greatest producers ever. I think she is.
I think she was probably too hands off on this.
And I think exactly she was too you have to have somebody looking over each movie and having a story through each movie. And I think if they would have had that story, the very first part of episode 8, all characters meeting.
I mean, to be fair to the movies, I think that the jump from 7 to 8 makes more sense than from 8 to 9.
Yeah, because I mean, after episode 8, Lucasfilm was pretty much just like, everything's on fire. What's happening? We need to figure this out.
This is fine.
Yeah, that meme exactly. This is fine. Everything is fine. But
anyway,
I know we've gone a long time, so
that's all I really got. I really love the movie. I honestly do, and the fan base just upsets me.
I know.
It's a movie. It's not worth getting that upset about.
It's not. If you love Star Wars, if you don't love
Star Wars, if you love Star Wars, great. If you've never seen Star Wars, even better. I would
impressive.
Kind of recommend not seeing it just to say that you have not seen.
Even if you like some stuff and don't like some stuff, just share your comments.
Yeah, it's okay not to like Obi-Wan.
Nice about it. You don't have to throw shade. You don't have to be sexist. You don't have to be racist. Just be nice. God, I love this fandom and hate it at the same time.
You don't love this fandom.
No, I don't.
Dude. That puppet. You don't even know what puppet I'm talking about. I think I know what
puppet. When
Star
you said
Wars
puppet,
Dinks.
Yeah.
It's so. You know what makes it more sad? The knowledge that he had is significantly impressive in the way he framed Star Wars in an understandable way. Mm-hmm. And it turns out he's homophobic and all this other crap.
Anyway, everybody, be nice. Be nice to one another.
Be kind.
So,
rewind your Star Wars Special Edition videotapes.
There you go. After that whole spiel, and if you stuck around again to the end, thank you for listening to us so much as we babble on about our own opinions.
Babylon 5, I love that.
Yow. Jared, if they want to watch more of our content, if they want to stay up to date with what we have going on every week, where can they follow us?
Well, if it's at this point, Facebook has become meta. Maybe. We don't know.
Maybe.
Possibly. You can follow us there. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And hey, George Lucas is pretty funny looking, which is kind of funny because we're all funny looking here too. And guess what else is funny? Jake, what else do you think is funny?
Our Instagram. No, our TikTok.
Yeah, our TikTok is pretty funny. I'm waiting for you to give me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't leave him hanging.
Oh yeah, and then listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Please like, subscribe, comment, and ring our bell on YouTube, and also leave us some. What are those called? Reviews on those podcasts.
Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever each platform lets you do.
And tell Dickey why he's wrong and his bad taste.
And tell them why they're wrong and also have bad taste.
And tell Dickey how to tell an original joke without just saying the exact same thing I said but switching it like he's some sort of idealist.
Or you can just tell Jerry to shut up. Anyway.
I think they're both idiots.
That's the name of our podcast. Idiots.
So thank you everybody for listening to today's episode of Our Favorites. Make sure to stay tuned this week and next week for more awesome content coming your way. So from all of us here at Slate Media, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.
All right.
Bum.
Don Williams is the man.